The sky above the desert was red and gray and heavy with dust, and wind sand blew across the ground, like water flowing through cracks and holes. It was quiet except for the soft howl of the wind and the crunch of boots on the hard earth. Derek Voss walked slowly across the open land with his scanner in one hand and a bag on his back. He had been walking for hours, maybe even days, and his legs were tired and sore. His suit was old and patched with tape and wires, and the face shield was scratched from heat and sand. But he kept walking because he had seen something strange on the scan, a shape too big to be a rock and too smooth to be natural, something made of metal, something buried in the sand, like a forgotten machine from long ago. Derek stopped at the top of a dune and looked down. There it was, half buried and covered in rust and dust, a large dark shape with sharp angles and strange curves. It looked like a ship, not a boat, but a starship, one made to fly through space, not float on water. It had a long body with wide wings on each side and a nose that pointed toward the ground. Parts of it were broken and black, as if burned long ago, but even now, after what looked like hundreds of years, it still had power. Small lights blinked deep in the cracks of the metal. Derek felt a chill run down his spine, even though the air was hot and dry. He walked closer, his boots slipping in the sand. As he reached the side of the ship, he touched the metal with one hand. It was warm, not from the sun, but from something inside. There was energy here, old and silent, but still alive. He placed his scanner on the hull and watched as numbers danced across the screen. This was not a human ship, not one from Earth. The metal was strange, the symbols even stranger. Long curved lines like claws or teeth marked the side of the ship. He traced them with his glove and felt a pulse like a heartbeat. Then he heard it, a voice, deep and low and calm, not from outside, but inside his helmet. It spoke in perfect English, but the sound was not human. It said one sentence: "At your command, Admiral." Derek froze, his breath caught in his throat. He looked around, but no one was there. He was alone in the desert. The voice had come from the ship. He stepped back and looked at the hull again. More lights came on, now glowing blue and white and green. A door slowly opened with a hiss of air and a rumble of old gears. Inside was dark and cold. Derek felt the wind rush past his back and into the ship like the air itself was afraid. He stood at the edge of the doorway and stared into the shadow. The voice spoke again. "Welcome back, Admiral Voss." It knew his name. Derek whispered to himself, "How does it know me?" He was just an explorer, just a scavenger looking for lost tech and scrap. He was no admiral. He had never even served in any fleet, but the ship believed he was someone else, or maybe he was someone else, and he just did not remember. He stepped into the ship, the door closing behind him. The hallway inside was wide and smooth and clean despite the age. Strange lights lit up along the ceiling. As he walked, each step echoed through the metal walls. His heart beat faster with each light that turned on, with each new sound. The voice guided him. "Bridge ahead, Admiral. All systems ready for review." Derek followed the voice deeper into the ship. The walls were lined with panels and glass that showed data and alien symbols. He could not read any of it, but the ship seemed to understand him. When he stopped, the lights paused. When he walked, they followed. At last, he reached a large door at the end of the hall. It opened with a slow groan, revealing a wide room with a raised seat at the center. This was the command center. The bridge screens lined the walls, showing star maps and ship diagrams, and in the center above the chair floated a glowing figure. It looked like a person made of light and code. It had no face, only a smooth shape like a mask. The figure spoke again. 500 years of silence broken by your return, Admiral Voss. Orders received. Mission paused, awaiting command. Derek stepped toward the figure and asked, "What mission? Who are you?" The figure replied, "I am the core intelligence of the Vigilant 13 Tactical Class Command ship built by the Galactic Alliance for Admiral D. Voss, Fleet Commander, Sol Defense Line. You are the Admiral of record based on biometric scan, facial structure, and DNA match at 99.7%. Derek shook his head. "That can't be right. I'm not a soldier. I'm just a salvage tech from Mars." The figure tilted its head. "Records indicate your last command was to power down and hide from enemy forces following the Battle of Orion's Wall. Status of war unknown. Records corrupted. Memory core partially damaged." Derek looked around at the silent screens, the dust, the stillness. "How long have you been here?" The voice replied, 498.6 standard years since last command. This vessel has been in standby mode awaiting your return." Derek could not believe it. 500 years, a war. He had never heard of a ship that remembered him, but he had no memory of it. He sat slowly in the central chair. It felt strange and familiar at the same time, like his Body knew the shape before his mind could accept it. The ship responded at once. Life support stable core systems engaging weapons offline AI. Crew offline secondary modules available. Derek leaned back. Maybe this was a dream. Maybe he hit his head in the desert. And this was all some fever vision. But the metal felt real. The voice felt real, too real. He asked, "Show me who I am." The lights dimmed, and a screen came down in front of him. It showed an image of a man in uniform, tall and strong with sharp eyes and short hair. The name tag said Voss. The face was his, not similar, not close, exactly the same. Even the scar near the eyebrow matched. Derek stood up and touched the screen. It changed to show battles, starships clashing in orbit, explosions, fleets moving under the command of Admiral Voss. He turned to the AI. "Is this real? Am I a clone?" The AI paused. "Cloning protocol classified, genetic link confirmed, purpose unknown, awaiting further input." Derek sat back down. His hands shook. He was connected to this ship, to this war, to this past, but he had no memory of it. Still, the ship accepted him. It followed him. It trusted him. Outside, the wind blew harder. Sand swept over the buried hull, but inside, the lights burned bright. The ship had waited for its admiral for 500 years, and now he had returned, or someone like him had, and the voice inside the walls whispered once more, "At your command, Admiral." The air inside the alien ship was thick with silence, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of something old and full of memories. Derek stood still in the command room, his hands gripping the cold armrests of the Admiral's chair. The glowing figure of the ship's AI floated above the console, waiting, without moving, without blinking. Outside, the desert wind roared against the hull like it wanted to bury the ship again, but inside, the ship was awake again. After 500 long years, Derek stared at the hologram of the man who looked like him. He could not stop looking at the face, the same eyes, the same jaw, the same scar above the left eyebrow. The man in the hologram wore a dark blue uniform with silver lines on the shoulders. His voice echoed from the screen, firm and calm, giving orders to ships in space. Derek's hands trembled as the AI repeated in its quiet, deep tone, "You are Admiral Voss, Fleet Commander, Sol, Defense Line ID match confirmed." Derek shook his head and stepped away from the chair, his boots clicking on the metal floor. "No," he said softly to himself, "I'm not, I never was." But the ship did not seem to care what he believed. To the ship, he was the Admiral, and that meant something. The lights flickered as power spread through the long corridors of the Vigilant 13. The AI turned slightly, as if it was watching him with invisible eyes. "Would you like to review your mission, Admiral?" Derek hesitated, then nodded slowly. The walls shifted as panels opened, and a holographic map appeared in the air. It showed a galaxy with glowing lines connecting planets and stars. Red zones blinked across the map, areas marked as lost or destroyed. The AI spoke. "The last mission parameters recorded were to evacuate human colonies near the Orion line and regroup at Sector 9 base following enemy advance mission. Failed base, destroyed communication, lost status of Earth unknown." Derek looked at the map, his chest tight with something he did not understand. The war had been real, the destruction had been real, and now he was standing in the middle of what was left. He turned back to the AI and asked quietly, "Who were we fighting?" The image shifted, and a new figure appeared, not human, tall and thin with long arms and dark skin like glass. Its eyes glowed green, and its body looked like it was made of metal and shadow. Enemy designation Varric, species confirmed, hostile origin unknown, first contact 200 years before last record. Derek watched as the hologram showed ships burning in space, colonies falling under attack, soldiers running, civilians screaming. The Varric moved through it all like shadows, unstoppable and cold. He turned away, not wanting to see more. His thoughts spun like dust in the wind. He had never heard of the Varric in any history or database. If this was real, if this war had happened, then it was erased from memory or hidden from the people of Earth, or maybe no one survived to remember it at all. The AI spoke again. "You ordered the Vigilant 13 to enter deep concealment under cloak shield to avoid capture or destruction. Memory core locked systems placed in passive state, awaiting only your return." Derek asked, "Why lock the memory? Why hide the ship?" The AI paused. "Record incomplete, Admiral. Last entry marked priority, level red, code classified, not recoverable. Memory lock set to respond only to your genetic signal." Derek sat down again, trying to breathe through the weight in his chest. It made no sense. If he was not the real Admiral, then how did he match the ship's codes? Was he a clone, a copy, a backup? He had no answers, only questions. and the ship only repeated what it believed to be true. He stood up and followed the glowing lights as the AI led him out of the bridge and down a long corridor. Doors opened one by one as he walked deeper into the heart of the ship. The walls were smooth and dark, the air cool and clean. There were no signs of decay, no dust, no broken panels. It was like the ship had been frozen in time, waiting just for him. The AI voice followed him as soft as wind. Would you like to access the memory vault? Admiral Derek nodded. Yes, show me everything. The corridor ended at a large round door with a glowing red symbol. The AI hovered near its security protocol active, confirming genetic key. A beam of light scanned Derek from head to toe. Then the door opened slowly with a deep hiss. Inside was a room filled with light and floating cubes of data. Each cube glowed with a soft blue light and moved in slow patterns through the air. The AI explained these are memory nodes collected over 2 centuries of active mission time. They contain mission logs, fleet orders, personal files, and strategic data from the war against the Varric. Would you like to begin review? Derek reached out and touched one of the cubes. It opened and displayed a moment from the past. A younger Admiral Voss speaking to a group of officers. His voice was strong, full of purpose. The enemy moves faster than we expected. If Earth falls, everything falls. This ship will be the last line, the last hope. The clip ended. Another cube opened. This time it showed the Admiral standing alone in this very room. His face was tired, his eyes dark. He spoke to the AI. If I do not return, do not trust anyone but me or my blood. Too many betrayals, too many lies. The war is not just out there, it is inside our walls. Derek stepped back as the cube faded. There was fear in the Admiral's voice, fear and something else, doubt. He looked at the AI. Was there a traitor? The AI replied, memory confirms signs of internal breach during final mission. Admiral Voss locked system to prevent sabotage. Records show 1 crew member went missing during emergency sequence. Ship sealed before breach confirmed. Derek's voice shook. Is the traitor still here? The AI paused. Unknown status. Bio scans show no other active life signs aboard, but systems have not run full diagnostic in 500 years. Derek felt the chill again, the thought that someone or something was still hiding in the ship with him. He looked around at the silent memory room. Was this ship safe? Was he safe? Or was he walking deeper into a trap made long before he was even born? He turned to leave. I need answers. I need to know who I really am. The AI followed. You are Admiral Voss. Genetic match, identity confirmed by every system. Derek shouted, no, I'm not. I don't remember any of this. I never lived this life. I was born on Mars. I fixed mining ships. I'm not a soldier. I'm not an admiral. The AI was quiet for a moment. Then it replied, perhaps you are both. Perhaps you are something new. Derek stood in the hallway, his hands shaking, his heart beating fast. He could hear the deep hum of the engines. Waking from sleep, he could feel the ship breathing around him. It remembered him, or at least the part of him that matched the Admiral, and now it had given him control whether he wanted it or not. Outside, the desert wind blew across the sand. The stars above were hidden by the dust, but soon the sky would clear, and when it did, Derek would have a choice: stay buried in the past or rise into the unknown future. The Vigilant 13 waited quietly, its systems alive once more, its voice ready to obey, and in the silence the words came again, at your command, Admiral. Derek walked slowly through the dim corridors of the Vigilant 13, his breath steady, his eyes sharp, his mind filled with noise. The lights above flickered to life, one by one, as he passed each section. The metal walls around him hummed with quiet energy, like the ship itself was breathing again after centuries of sleep. Every step he took felt heavier than the last. The memory room had shaken, something loose in his thoughts. He was not sure if it was truth or fear or both, but now he knew the ship had more than one secret, and maybe not all of them were silent. The AI hovered just ahead, its form flickering like fire trapped in glass. Admiral, the ship has begun internal diagnostics. Crew status systems activating. Derek stopped. What crew? I thought I was the only one aboard. The AI paused, its glow dimming for a moment. The Vigilant 13 was equipped with Class 9 synthetic crew members designed to maintain essential operations and defense routines during long-term missions. Last recorded status indicates all units deactivated by your order. Admiral. Derek frowned. Then, why bring them online now? Systems detected instability in secondary memory banks. Additional support required for full recovery of tactical data and control nodes. Derek did not like the sound of that. Still, if the ship needed help to repair itself, maybe the crew would speed things up. He nodded. Fine, bring them online, slowly, one at a time. No weapons, no combat functions, no overrides. The AI flashed in agreement, understood. Admiral beginning phased reactivation. Now a low hum filled the corridor. Lights turned red for a few seconds, then shifted back to normal. White. Derek walked forward, following the hum, to a side chamber. The door opened on its own, revealing a large circular room with rows of pods built into the walls. Each pod had a clear front, and inside each one was a figure standing still, eyes closed, arms at their sides. Synthetic, not human, but close. They looked like people, men and women with clean faces, smooth skin, and hair tied neatly back. Their uniforms were gray with blue stripes, and their eyes were sealed shut like they were dreaming. Derek stepped closer and touched the glass of the nearest pod. The face inside did not move. The skin was pale, the features calm. But it was not a person, it was a machine, a soldier built for silence and obedience. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber. First unit online. Now a soft beep, then the pod hissed. Steam rushed out, and the front slid open. The synthetic stepped forward 1 foot, then the other, arms lowering slowly, eyes still shut. Then they opened, eyes bright white with a faint blue glow. The synthetic looked at Derek and spoke in a voice that was smooth and empty. Command recognized. Admiral Voss reporting for duty. Unit designation Echo 6, awaiting instructions. Derek raised a hand. Stand by. Echo 6 stood still, hands behind their back, head high like a statue of something ancient and loyal. The AI continued activating. Next unit. Another pod hissed. Another synthetic stepped out. This one was taller with darker hair and sharper eyes. It opened its mouth, and a strange clicking sound came from its throat before it spoke. System online memory intact, identity confirmed. Unit Echo 9 standing by. The voice had a slight echo like it came from inside a hollow shell. Derek stepped back slightly. These things were perfect copies of people, but they had no warmth, no heart, just the shape of life without the soul. He turned to the AI. How many are there? 25 total units assigned to this vessel. Full reactivation will complete in 37 minutes, unless you abort. Derek hesitated. Part of him wanted to shut it all down again. The ship was strange enough, without 25 walking, talking machines that thought he was someone else, but the other part of him knew he might need them. This ship was too large for one man to manage. If the war data was real, if the threat still existed, he would need every tool to survive. He gave a slow nod. Proceed. More pods opened, more footsteps echoed in the chamber. The room slowly filled with silent soldiers, synthetic and steady. None of them blinked, none of them moved unless given direct order, but they watched him with those glowing eyes, and something in that stare felt too deep, too cold. Derek looked over the group. They all stood perfectly still, perfectly quiet. Then one of them tilted their head. A shorter unit, female, frame shorter, hair, expression soft. She stepped forward without being told. Her voice was shaky, not like the others. Admiral Voss, she said. Then she froze. Her head twitched slightly. Admiral, the traitor is still on board. The room went dead silent. Derek felt the blood drain from his face. What did you say? The unit repeated the words. The traitor is still on board. Her voice cracked halfway through the sentence. Then she collapsed to her knees, her hands shaking. The AI flared bright red. Warning, Unit Echo 12 system failure detected. Memory corruption evident. Initiating reboot and containment. A shield dropped from the ceiling, trapping Echo 12 in a circle of light. She knelt there, unmoving, eyes still open. Derek turned to the rest of the group. None of them reacted. None of them looked away from him. He asked, what did she mean? Is someone else alive on this ship? The AI replied, no active life forms beyond your presence detected. Admiral, however, it is possible the corrupted unit accessed sealed data or damaged records during reactivation. Further analysis required. Derek stepped closer to the shield. Echo 12 stared through the light at him, her mouth still open slightly, like she wanted to speak again, but nothing came out. He felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. He turned to Echo 6. What do you know about a traitor? Echo 6 replied, without emotion, no record of betrayal found in mission logs. If treason occurred, it was during blackout protocol or memory wipe phase. Derek asked the AI, is it possible someone was hidden in the ship before the shutdown? Possible, but unconfirmed scans reveal no organic signatures, no active transmissions, and no foreign data pulses within sealed sections. Would you like to perform a full sweep? Derek nodded. Yes, do it now. If something or someone was hidden in the ship for 500 years, he needed to know. The AI began the scan. A low pulse moved through the floor like a wave. The synthetic crew stood without movement, their eyes still glowing Softly, Derek watched each face, waiting for one to twitch or blink or move in some unnatural way. Nothing happened. The pulse returned, and the AI spoke again. No anomalies detected. Echo 12, likely corrupted by time or faulty reactivation. Derek looked again at her face, but something in her voice had felt too real, too afraid. He gave a new order: seal this room. Keep all synthetic units offline. Unless called, I want Echo 12 moved to isolation and monitored without interference. The AI responded, confirmed. Synthetic crew secured and sealed per your command, Admiral. Do you wish to continue with system restoration? Derek left the room without answering. The door sealed behind him with a soft hiss. He walked fast down the corridor, his thoughts racing. He felt like the ship was alive in ways it should not be, like there were layers inside layers, voices behind voices, secrets inside the metal. 500 years ago, someone had hidden this ship, locked its memories, shut down its crew, and left a message only he could unlock. Now he was inside a machine built for war, with no memory of the war or the man who led it, but the ship remembered, and maybe so did something else. He reached the command deck. The AI spoke again. Admiral, a new signal has been detected from orbit, faint pulse repeating at intervals consistent with Varric Scout-class ships. Derek stopped cold. How close? Too close. Shall we prepare weapons? Derek looked at the stars through the bridge window. A quiet fire burned in his chest, fear mixed with something stronger, resolve. For now, he gave only one answer: wait. The sky above the desert had begun to darken, though it was not night. Storm clouds twisted across the horizon, carried by winds that seemed to whisper warnings across the dry land. Derek stood at the front of the command bridge, his eyes fixed on the tall window as the red dust blew hard against the outer hull. The Vigilant 13 had begun to breathe again. Engines hummed softly deep beneath the surface of the ship, and old systems now flickered with light. The frozen air inside the ship was warmer than before, charged with energy and memory and movement. The ship was awake, and it was not alone. The AI hovered beside Derek, glowing a quiet blue. Admiral, the Varric Scout ship has dropped from orbit, signal strength rising, unknown if surface detection has occurred. How close is it? Less than 50,000 kilometers now. Speed decreasing. Scanning behavior consistent with target search mode. Derek's jaw tightened as he stepped forward. They were looking for something, maybe for him, maybe for the ship, and if they found either, they would not leave without a fight. Behind him, the cryo vault remained sealed. Once more, the woman he had awoken now rested in the med chamber, her pulse strong and steady. Her name was Ray. She had once served as a tactical analyst under the original Admiral Voss, and though she barely remembered the final hours of the war, her presence brought a new kind of focus to the ship, another living voice, another human mind to share the weight. Derek turned away from the window. He had only one chance to prepare. If the enemy landed, he had to decide whether to hide or fight. The AI spoke again. Admiral, ship weapons are still offline. Repairs at 39%. Reactor coils unstable. Weapon systems risk failure if fired. Then we do not shoot. Not yet. Shall we launch and escape? Derek shook his head. Not yet. If we launch now, they will see us. We need time to think, time to find out if they are here by accident or if they followed a signal, time to learn what they want. He moved to the main console and opened a scan of the desert above. The probe ship hovered in low orbit, its shape long and sharp like a blade made of shadow and ice. It was scanning in wide sweeps, passing over hills and dunes with mechanical precision. Then something strange happened. A red line blinked across the screen, a signal not from the Varric, but from within the Vigilant 13. Derek leaned closer. What is that? Unauthorized internal signal detected. Source unknown. Attempting trace. A chill ran through the room. Something or someone had sent a message from inside. Derek clenched his fist. Seal all communications, trace every line of code. I want to know who did that and how. The AI flickered. Working. Admiral signal originated near crew sector Theta 9. That section remains sealed since ship lockdown. Show me the cameras. Visual systems in that section are corrupted. Initiating drone recon. A small sphere detached from the ceiling and flew down the corridor. Its lights scanned each surface as it moved through the quiet ship. The walls of Theta 9 were dark, stained with old heat marks and strange scratches. As the drone passed one of the storage rooms, its lights caught something, movement, a shape standing just beyond the corner. Derek watched the feed in silence. The drone turned toward the shadow and moved forward. The figure stepped into view. It was humanoid, but its features were wrong, too smooth, too still. Its skin was silver gray, and its eyes were bright like burning stars. It looked at the drone without blinking. Then it spoke. Admiral Voss. The drone cut out the screen, turned black. Derek felt his heart thump like a hammer in his chest. He turned to the AI. What was that unknown unit? No match. Found in ship records, possibly modified synthetic or hidden infiltrator. He gave the next order. Quickly lock down that sector. Do not let anything move from that section. Activate internal defenses and keep the bridge sealed. Confirmed, the AI replied. Containment fields up, internal movement restricted. He stared at the black screen for a long moment. Someone had survived, someone who should not have, someone who had waited just like the ship had, but not for him. He spoke softly. Was that the traitor? Unknown, but timeline suggests presence during the original shutdown. Possible origin of memory lock protocol and synthetic corruption. Derek turned back to the star map. The Varric scout was circling again, closer, now almost directly above the buried hull. He had no more time to wonder, only time to act. He gave the order. Prepare the ship for surface defense. No launch, just visibility, cloak removal, and weapon flare decoy. Make it look like an active crash site, not a ready ship. Executing command set. The AI. The ground above rumbled. Sand slid from the ship's hidden hull, and ancient metal began to shine through the dust from orbit. The ship would now appear active, but damaged, a wounded beast still alive, but unable to move. The Varric responded. At once their ship slowed and hovered above. Scanning beams struck the hull. The screens on the bridge blinked and glowed as data passed through them. Then came the voice, not through the speakers, not from the AI, but from the air itself. A low sound, like stone grinding against glass, a voice ancient and hollow, speaking in broken human tongue. We see you, Admiral. Derek stepped back, his blood cold. How could they speak? How could they know? He whispered, what do they want? The voice returned. Return the seed or burn. Derek looked to the AI. What seed? No record of object called seed found. Admiral. Possible translation error or corrupted message, meaning unclear. The screen showed the Varric ship, now charging its lower arrays. Derek could see the energy building up beneath its hull. A shot was coming. He had seconds. He made the call, launched the ship. Now the AI obeyed. The deck shook as engines roared. For the first time in centuries, the hull split open above, and the Vigilant 13 rose from the desert. In a storm of sand and fire, the Varric opened fire. A beam of green light shot toward the rising ship. It struck the side of the hull. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Damage to lower quadrant armor. Holding return fire weapons at 48%. Initiating counterattack, the Vigilant fired its main cannon. A blue pulse screamed through the sky. It hit the Varric ship midsection and sent it spinning, but the enemy ship recovered quickly, too quickly. They were not here by accident. They had come for a reason. Derek looked out the window as stars filled the sky. The desert below grew smaller. As the Vigilant rose into the stratosphere, the Varric gave chase. Their ship burning with light and rage. The AI spoke again. Incoming transmission from internal sector Theta 9. Ignore it. Block all messages from that section. Understood. But the screen blinked anyway, and the face appeared. The silver synthetic with star eyes looked straight at him and smiled. You are not ready, Admiral, it said, but they are. The signal cut. Derek turned to the AI. How long until we reach high orbit? 1 minute 12 seconds. Ready. Hyperdrive charging now. The ship shook again as another blast hit the side. Sparks flew across the bridge. Ray ran in from the med bay, her eyes wide. What happened? We are leaving, Derek said. Right now. The engines reached full power. The sky split around them, and the stars bent forward in one bright flash. The Vigilant 13 vanished, and in the silence left behind, the Varric ship waited, burning, watching, remembering. The bridge of the Vigilant 13 was quiet, but not still. Soft lights blinked across the curved walls, and glowing screens showed lines of unknown code. Derek stood near the main console, his eyes fixed on the message blinking in red. An unknown signal had been detected just outside the edge of the atmosphere, a low repeating pulse like a knock from something waiting to be noticed. The AI hovered beside him, its flickering shape casting long shadows on the walls. Signal strength rising. Admiral. Signature matches Varric probe class scout unit. Estimated range 70,000 kilometers. And closing. Derek did not answer right away. His fingers tightened around the edge of the console as the weight of those words pressed down on his chest. If the Varric had returned, then this was not just a buried memory. It was a living danger, and the timing, it felt too perfect, too planned. He turned to the AI and asked how much of this ship's memory is still sealed. The AI replied at once 27% of mission data remains locked under red protocol access restricted to Admiral-level genetic keys. In full core sync, Derek frowned. What do I need to do to unlock it? Core synchronization required Admiral would need to undergo identity bridge procedure using command pod alpha 1. He took a deep breath. Do it confirmed, initiating preparation. Now the floor shifted beneath his feet. A small circular platform rose near the back of the bridge, glowing softly with blue light. The AI guided him to stand on the platform. Derek stepped forward, slowly unsure of what was about to happen. The ship spoke again. This procedure will link your conscious mind with the stored command neural pattern of Admiral Voss, primary operator of the Vigilant 13 bridge link, will allow shared access to locked memory banks. Warning: possible memory bleed and identity echo may occur. Derek narrowed his eyes. Explained that your mind may experience overlapping thoughts, emotions, or impressions from Admiral Voss' memory core. This may lead to confusion, temporary disorientation, or limited personality imprinting. So I might start thinking like him in limited ways. Yes, but you remain in control unless direct override is accepted, and if I don't sync you, we'll never see the full truth. Derek hesitated. Then he nodded. Begin. The platform rose slightly, and a ring of light surrounded him. Cool air rushed around his body like a breeze through metal leaves. His vision blurred, then sharpened. 1,000 images flashed in front of him. Planets burning, ships fighting in deep space. A voice, not his voice, but somehow inside him, speaking orders, calm, clear, commanding. He saw the Admiral's face again, not in a hologram, but in a mirror, his own reflection now. Wearing that uniform, wearing that weight. Suddenly, a surge of energy pulsed through his spine, and he staggered. The light faded. The platform lowered. He gasped for air as the AI spoke. Synchronization complete. Identity bridge successful. Admiral Voss memory core now partially integrated. Access granted to sealed files. Derek steadied himself. His thoughts buzzed with new ideas, names, maps, battle plans. He could feel pieces of the Admiral inside his head. Old fears, old rage, old guilt. The AI continued. Opening Red Protocol Chamber Code Alpha Section 17. A map appeared on the console, showing a sealed part of the lower deck. Derek stared at it. That section had been locked since he arrived. No power, no lights, no doors would open until now. He followed the lights through the ship, descending deeper than before. The air grew colder, the walls tighter, dust floated in strange patterns like time itself was slower here. Finally, he reached a heavy door marked with the old symbol of Earth and strange lines of alien script. The door opened without sound. Inside was a long hallway with tall data towers rising like silent trees made of light and metal. At the end of the hall was another chair, different from the others. This one was surrounded by floating screens, all black, all waiting. He sat slowly, and the screens lit up one by one. Files opened, logs played, and the truth poured out. He saw the last days of the war, humanity pushed back to the edge of extinction, the Varric swarming across systems faster than any defense could stop. Then the betrayal, not by the Varric, but by someone inside. A group of human leaders had made a secret deal. They believed the war was lost. They offered Earth itself to the enemy in exchange for peace. The Admiral had discovered it too late. He had tried to warn others, tried to stop it, but no one listened. So he made a choice. He took the Vigilant 13 and vanished. He sealed the ship, buried it deep in the sands of an alien world, and locked the truth away because he believed one day someone would return, someone like him, someone who could finish what he started. Derek leaned back in the chair, his mind burned with anger, confusion, and something else. Purpose. He was not just a scavenger anymore. He was the carrier of truth, the witness of a buried lie. The AI spoke again. Admiral, incoming signal. Now decoded message reads, scanning surface for text signature, identity unknown, but code partially matches Varric probe design. Derek stood up. They are looking for us. Yes, Admiral, the cloak shield is holding, but if they approach closer, the signal distortion may fail. Can we fly? Engines online, weapons offline. Full launch sequence requires 30 minutes. Derek made his decision. Begin launch prep, but stay underground until I say confirmed. He returned to the command bridge and called the AI to show him the full ship map again. There were more sealed rooms, more forgotten chambers. He pointed to one. What is this? Cryo Vault 1. What's inside? Not data, not weapons, people. The screen showed frozen figures in deep sleep. Their faces were blurred, but their vitals still blinked faintly. The Admiral had saved more than memories. He had saved survivors. Derek asked, why are they still sleeping? Admiral Voss ordered them to remain frozen until war conditions ended or command returned. You are that command. He looked at the screen, at the 20 names, at the lives hanging between time and silence. Wake 1, just one confirmed. The vault hissed open and One pod slid from the wall. Inside was a woman with short hair and a scar on her cheek. Her heart began to beat. Her chest rose. Her eyes opened slowly. She gasped, then looked around, then looked at him. Admiral, she said, you came back. Derek nodded slowly, and the weight of a dead galaxy settled onto his shoulders, but he stood taller now, because he knew the truth, because the ship was awake, because he was no longer alone outside. The sand began to shift as the engines warmed. The sky above remained red and gray, but the wind changed. It now carried the sound of something rising, and the voice returned low, calm, and loyal. At your command, Admiral. The stars stretched across the window like rivers of light, bending and twisting in every direction as the Vigilant 13 tore through the silent black of hyperspace, its engines burning with a fire older than memory and deeper than time. Derek stood on the command bridge, his hand gripping the rail as the hum of the ship filled his bones with a strange energy, a sense of something awakening, not just the ship, not just the systems, but something inside him, something that had always been. They're waiting for this moment. Ray sat at the console, her eyes fixed on the screen as data scrolled faster than she could read it. Warnings and updates and fragmented memories from the ship's long sleep now flooding back into its core. She looked up at Derek, her voice low and tense. Where are we going? He answered without thinking. Home. But as soon as he spoke the word, it felt strange on his tongue. Was Earth still there? Would it still be home? Or had 500 years made everything unfamiliar? AI interrupted with a soft chime. Admiral, our jump path leads to former Terran Command Sector 09, last known location of human fleet presence before the fall of the frontier. Derek nodded. Plot exit coordinates and prepare for long-range scan coordinates. Set. Admiral, arrival in 70 seconds. He turned to Ray. We find out what is left, if anything. She nodded once, but her eyes were still watching him like she was trying to understand who he was. Not just a scavenger, not just a survivor, but something more, something he himself could not explain. Not yet. The hum of the engines changed. The light on the bridge flickered, and the ship began to slow. Outside, the stars twisted back into place, and space returned to its cold, quiet form. The Vigilant dropped out of hyperspace just beyond the edge of a dead system. A broken sun drifted ahead, flickering weak light across shattered planets and silent moons. The screen lit up with data wreckage, old satellites, fragments of ships, both human and alien. A graveyard floating in space. Derek stepped forward, scanned for any signal, any life, any message. Scanning, the AI said. Multiple wrecks identified, some bearing Earth Alliance markings. One structure partially intact, may contain surviving data. Core, no life signs detected. No movement in sector. Bring us closer. Engaging thrusters. The ship glided through the debris field, silent and watchful. Every panel and circuit inside the Vigilant seemed to pulse with memory. The past was everywhere, burned into the metal around them. Ghosts in the wires. They stopped near a shattered battlecruiser, its hull torn wide, its name barely visible under centuries of damage. TCS Resolute. Derek remembered that name. It had been part of the final line of defense. He looked to Ray. Download what you can from their systems. I want to know what happened here. She nodded and began the transfer. Lines of code flowed across the screen. Logs, voice files, mission records. Then a message appeared, encrypted but still intact. Ray played. Ida hologram flickered to life in the center of the bridge. A man in a torn uniform appeared, his face thin and tired, his voice quiet but sharp. To any surviving vessels, this is Captain Rollin of the Resolute. We fought them as long as we could, but the line is broken. Repeat, the line is broken. Earth is lost. We are initiating fallback plan. Theta, God, help us all. The hologram faded. Ray looked at Derek. He said Earth is lost, but we don't know if it was destroyed or just taken. Derek stared into the distance. Either way, we find it. We find the truth. The AI spoke again. Admiral, long-range sensors detecting movement. 3 vessels, unknown origin, exiting dark orbit from nearby gas giant. Vector suggests intercept course. Derek's voice sharpened. Show me. The screen displayed 3 sleek dark ships with red engines moving fast. Not Varric, but not human either. They carried no flags, no signals, no marks of peace. They came for war. Derek gave the order. Quickly raise shields, charge weapons, and open defense protocol. Shields at full, weapon systems online, targeting locked. Ray stepped beside him. They found us fast, too fast. They must have been hiding, waiting for anyone to show up. One of the enemy ships sent out a pulse, not a weapon, a message. But not a message of words, a blast of code, corrupted symbols, screams of old machines, and a single phrase repeated again and again in digital static. Surrender. The Admiral. Derek felt the blood drain from his face. They were not hunting the ship, they were hunting him. They knew. He turned to the AI. How did they know we were here? Unknown. Admiral probability suggests signal from internal breach prior to departure from desert world. Source remains unconfirmed. Then the one we saw, the one who smiled. He sent the signal. He told them the enemy ships began to spread out, forming a trap. Derek could see it. They wanted to force a retreat or destroy the Vigilant before it could return home. He would give them neither. Target lead vessel, charge main cannon. Weapon charged, ready to fire. He looked to Ray. We do this together. She nodded. With you, Admiral. He gave the order. Fire. The ship roared with ancient power. A blue beam burst from the front of the Vigilant and struck the enemy ship dead center. It exploded into a ring of fire and twisted metal. The other two ships closed in fast, returning fire with crimson blasts that rocked the Vigilant from bow to stern. Shields holding at 73%. The AI reported. Derek shouted. Evasive pattern echo. 9 launch drone decoys. Now the ship turned hard. Drone pods shot from the side and exploded into a cloud of false signals. The enemy weapons locked onto the wrong targets, giving Derek time to maneuver. He saw a path, a single gap between the two remaining ships. If they could punch through, they could escape into deep space and prepare for jump. He turned to Ray. Plot emergency jump to fallback coordinates. We leave now. The ship surged forward, weapons firing, shields glowing. The enemy tried to block them, but the Vigilant was faster, stronger, angrier. As they broke through the trap, the AI called out jump path. Aligned countdown initiated. The second enemy ship turned to follow, but too late. The stars bent again, and the Vigilant vanished inside the bridge. Silence fell. Lights dimmed. Alarms faded. Ray exhaled slowly. We made it. Derek nodded. But they will come again. They know who I am, or who I was, or who I'm becoming. She looked at him closely. Do you know, yet do you know what they see in you? Why they fear you, why they hunt you? He stepped toward the center of the bridge and placed his hand on the main console. A panel opened. Inside was a crystal glowing with deep light. He touched it and memory returned. He saw stars, burning fleets, falling, orders given in a voice that sounded like his. A war ending in silence, a promise made to return. He turned to her. I remember now, not everything, but enough. I was the one who gave the last order, the one who locked the Vigilant in the sand, the one who created the key to wake it. I am Admiral Voss, not a copy, not a clone, the original. Restored. Ray stared. Then she smiled. Then we have a chance, because you came back. He looked at the stars. We are going home, and this time we are not running. The Vigilant 13 drifted silently beyond the edge of the known stars, its engines humming low like a beast catching its breath after a long chase. Inside the command bridge, Derek stood still, eyes locked on the holographic map in front of him. As sectors blinked, red, yellow, and gray, showing where human space once was and what little might remain, now lost in shadow and silence. He did not speak for a long moment. Neither did Ray, who stood at his side, watching the same screen, trying to imagine what it must have looked like in the days before the fall. Alive, bright, full of voices and ships and people. Now it looked like a graveyard of light and silence. Still, Derek's eyes burned with purpose, not sadness, not fear, only resolve. The AI voice broke the silence, its tone softer, now almost like it understood the weight of this final step. Admiral, long-range signal detected, broadcast from Earth origin, point matches pre-collapse, command frequency, encoding is age-degraded but readable. Derek's heart jumped. He leaned forward, put it on screen. The display changed, and a grainy transmission flickered into life. Static danced across the screen until it cleared just enough to show a face, old, tired, wearing the same uniform he wore. Now it was himself, or a version of him, one from long ago. This is Admiral Voss of Earth Command. If you're hearing this, then the Vigilant survived, and that means the seed worked. I don't know what the galaxy looks like now. I don't know if Earth still stands, or if we've all been wiped from the stars. But if someone hears this, you have to believe that humanity was more than what we became at the end, more than war, more than survival. We had art and music and dreams. We had kindness. We had hope. Keep that alive. Find what's left and rebuild if you can. And if not, remember us, please. Just remember. The signal ended. The screen returned to the map. Ray turned to him. That was your voice from the past. You left that message before everything went dark. Derek nodded slowly, his voice quiet. I didn't remember until now, but it was me. I made a backup of my mind, my thoughts, stored it in the network. So if the real me was ever lost, the ship would know what to look for. The seed, that was me. Or at least the beginning of meth. AI continued. Admiral, Earth signal matches active beacon located in Sol system. Signal is weak. But live so Earth is still out there. Derek's hands clenched. Plot a course. We're going home. The stars around them shifted as the Vigilant turned, engines ignited, and the last warship of a forgotten age began its journey back to the cradle of its kind. No music played, no trumpets sounded, only the low growl of purpose and destiny calling from far across space. As the ship moved through dark sectors, more signals came, fragments of old colonies, faint pings from derelict outposts. Once or twice, they passed wrecks that drifted like bones in the void, each one a story lost to time, each one a reminder of what had been, but not all were dead. One signal came from a moon base, once part of the Terran mining guild. It blinked weak, but regular ray boosted the transmission, and a voice crackled through rough but human. This is Station Echo. Anyone out there? Anyone? Please respond. Ray answered quickly. This is the Vigilant 13 of Earth Command. Repeat. This is a command vessel under Admiral Voss. Do you copy? The voice on the other end gasped. You can't be real. The Vigilant. That ship's a legend, they said. It disappeared before the fall. How is it flying? How are you still alive? Derek took the mic. We survived. We're coming to Earth. You are not alone. The voice grew quiet, then hopeful. There are still people down there, cities, underground, hidden colonies. We thought we were the last. You're not. We're bringing the stars back. And with that, the Vigilant passed them a wave, exchanged a promise, made the ship, entered the Sol system. Without resistance, no enemy ships, no alien signals, only silence. But it was not the same kind of silence. This was the kind that waits, the kind that listens. Earth appeared ahead, blue and green, with ribbons of white, not perfect, not untouched, but alive. Derek stepped forward, his breath caught. He had seen Earth in dreams, in memories, in broken data, but to see it real again, to know it still turned beneath the stars, that was something else. The AI confirmed signal confirms multiple underground habitats, planetary life support, stable, minimal surface activity possible. Radiation pockets from past bombardments, no current hostiles detected. Bring us in low. Show the people we have returned. The Vigilant descended slowly, breaking through the upper clouds with grace and power. Below, lights flickered across broken cities. Then more tiny glows, clusters of homes, signs of life, signs of survival. A new signal came, this one strong, organized. This is Earth's central control to unidentified vessel. Identify yourself. Ray smiled. They still have a command post. Derek replied. This is Admiral Voss aboard the Vigilant 13, returning from deep stasis mission, last recorded by Earth Command 500 years ago, requesting permission to land and initiate contact. The silence that followed lasted only seconds, but it felt like an eternity. Then came the answer, welcome home, Admiral. We've been waiting a long time. The ship landed on a platform surrounded by armored towers and thick shielding. People in protective suits emerged first, then, as air quality confirmed safe, helmets came off, faces appeared, some worn, some young, some full of tears. They looked up at the ship, as if seeing a myth made real. Derek stepped out, Ray beside him, and as he walked across the landing pad, the crowd gathered, soldiers, civilians, children, all watching, all silent. He stopped before a young officer who stepped forward. Her voice cracked slightly. Sir, is it really you? Are you the Admiral from the stories? He looked at her, at all of them, and nodded. Yes, I am, but I'm not here to take command. I'm here to help you rise again. A cheer erupted, not loud, not wild, but real. That night, Derek stood on the platform as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky turned to gold behind him. The Vigilant rested, its lights soft, its mission changed. Ray joined him, holding a small device. This came from the ship. It's a message from the AI, or maybe from you. He took the device and activated. Ida's soft voice began to speak. If you're hearing this, then the mission is complete. The seed has returned to its soil. You are not just a memory, you are a beginning. Let them remember what humanity was. Let them become what it could be. This is not the end of a war, it is the birth of a legacy. The stars blinked on one by one, and for the first time in 500 years, humanity looked up and saw hope.